We know already that a method can return a value, but of course when we are writing our method, we need to, instead of writing void before the name of the method, we must write a type to specify the type that we want this method to return. In this example, this method will return a int value. When we specify int before the name of the method, means that this method will return a int value, and we must return a int value. We also know that a method can receive a parameters, the values, from the one who invokes the method. In order for that, we need to, inside these round brackets, we need to declare a variable. For now, in the previous example, we only declared one variable. But in this example, we are declaring 3 variables. Means that the one who is going to call this method will need to send us to pass to this method 3 parameters, and these 3 parameters are: first parameter is of type int, the second parameter is of type string array, and the third parameter is of type int array. So the one who is going to call this method is going to send us in this order: first parameter is int value, second is string array, and the third is int array. Let's see how we are going to call and to invoke this method. Here we are in main method, and we are declaring 2 variables. The first variable is cities array of type string array, which have 4 elements inside, 4 cities, and the grades array of type int array have 5 elements inside. So we have a string array and the int array. And now we are going to invoke our method, multiple parameters method. This is the name we chose for this method. So of course we need to write its name and opening round brackets, and then at the order that we declared the variables, we need to send in a values. So the first parameter should be of type int. So here we are sending 25. 25 is of type int. The next parameter, we should send in a string array. And here we are sending cities array, which is of type string array. The next parameter, the last one, is grades of type int array. So here we are sending the third parameter is grades array of type int array. Now, when we are invoking this method, this value, this parameter, will go inside this variable. So inside age variable will be a value of 25, because that's what we sent in. And inside cities, we will have the value of cities array, these 4 cities. And inside grades variable, we will have the value that inside grade array. Then when the method will run, let's see what we are going with these 3 variables. So with this first variable, age, what we do is send it over to another method. called print age. Let's see the method. The method print age is void, which means it is not returning any value, but it expecting a value of type int. That's why we can send in the age variable, because this method is expecting a int value. And this method is doing very simple thing, just printing your age is whatever. So what we saw here, that a method main can invoke a method, and then in turn this method can invoke the next method, and passing the variable that this method received to another method. Now let's see what we are doing with the second variable. Second variable is cities. We are just looping through this array of cities, or of strings, and printing the names of these cities using for each loop. What we are doing with grades array of type int array. Here we are going to calculate the average grade. In order to do that, we are declaring two variables. First one is sum. We are going to sum everything inside this variable. And the second one is the average. Of course, by the name, we are going to set it with the average grade. So we are going to loop through the grades array. Every time in the item variable, we will have another grade. The first, in every iteration, the first iteration, the first grade will be inside item, and the next iteration, the next grade will be inside item, and so on to the end of the array, grades array. So in every iteration, we are going to sum the grades into the sum variable. Every time, first time, sum is equals 0. So sum equals 0 plus item. Plus item means plus 100. So now sum will be 100. In the next iteration, sum will be equal to 100 plus item, means plus 95. So after the second iteration, sum will be 195. At the third iteration, it's 95 again, so it will be sum equal 195 plus 95, which is already 290. And so on to the end of the grades array. In sum, after that, we will have all of the numbers, all of the grades, all of them together, summed inside sum variable. And average is very simple. Sum divided by the number of the elements inside grades array. As we know that inside array we have a property called length, which tells us the number of elements inside the array. So in order to calculate the average, we are going to take the sum and divide it by the number of the elements. And here we have the average. And for the last line in this method, we are going to return the average to the one who invoked this method. And because this method, instead of void, we're specifying int, means that this method can and must return an int value. So here we are returning an average which is of type int. Let's see. Here we call this method, sending 3 parameters, and expecting at the left side of the equal sign, expecting the average grade. And in the next line, in main function already, we are back in the main method. We are going to print the average grade. Your average grade is average grade.